Hello and welcome. You're watching FII. I am Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, in yesterday's show, we discussed and explained to you what exactly is PCOD. Also, how is it different from PCOS? What should be your outlook if you have been diagnosed with either? And what exactly is the way ahead? And one of the major outcomes of the discussion was that this is a lifestyle disorder that can be reversed. Listen to it again. It can be reversed if only you make some modification in your diet mostly and also your lifestyle, which got us thinking about what exactly is the right diet when it comes to PCOD, the do's and don'ts. How should you eat your way out of PCOD and PCOS without getting into the need, if possible, into getting into medication as well. So today's program is going to be all about that. Let's dive in. So first up, foods you can add to your diet, and more specifically you should be eating when you have been diagnosed with PCOD. No prices for guessing. High fiber vegetables said to be very, very good for you. This includes broccoli, cauliflower, green peppers as well, almonds, sweet potato, all of them, lettuce, raw carrots, spinach, all of that should be part of your diet. Beets, mushrooms, asparagus, tenderly cooked, remember, even pumpkin and turnips there, not cooked to the degree that there's nothing really left in it, but cooked to a point where it still has nutrients that are beneficial for you. Vegetable juices are said to be great. Lentils, kidney beans, chickpeas, quinoa, oats, popcorn, chia seeds, dark chocolate, all of that said to be great. Pasta, but made from bean or lentil flour instead of wheat flour, that's going to be good for you. Barley is going to be great. Low-fat Greek yogurt is going to be great. And everybody's favorite, avocado and hummus. Great if you are on a PCOD or PCOS diet. Now, lean protein as well, great for you. That includes fish, it includes tofu, it includes chicken as well. And some other products which are great on antioxidants, great to reduce inflammation in the body as well. Tomatoes, kale, spinach, olive oil, fruits such as berries, strawberries, fatty fish, salmon, etc. Great. Fresh herbs and spices also, cardamom, spinach, ginger, coconut oil, all of that said to be great as well. Flaxseed oil as well. All of that said to be great for you. But what is it that you should avoid? This is something that we all know but so difficult to follow. Foods that are high in refined carbohydrates. That basically means everything white in your diet. White bread, muffins, breakfast pastries as well, sugary desserts, anything made from white flour really, pastas, noodles, semolinas, all of that which is made out of refined white flour, bad and should be avoided. Another great source of sugar, since insulin resistance and insulin maintenance is a huge issue when it comes to PCOD, is the soda, is your sugary fruit juices, energy drinks, all of them very, very high in sugar. You don't even understand or realize how much the intake is. At times, one of these scams can have the permissible amount of sugar that you need to take in an entire day in that just one can. So, good to check them out of your list completely. Now, how to check it? Look for food labels. Look for names such as sugar, O's in it. Anything with O's in it should tell you that this is going to be very high in sugar, dextrose, fructose, all of that is something that you should be staying away from. Another thing to stay away from is processed meat, especially red meat, lunch meat, hot dogs, sausage, bacon, etc. All of that, bad for you. Fried food as well, all of us knew that, but particularly if you have PCOD and PCOS, it's wise not to have them, or at least have them in very, very small portions. Apart from that, packaged food, or as we keep saying, anything that you're eating out of a packet. Even frozen meals and snacks, instant noodles, instant soup and pasta, commercial salad dressings as well. All of that said to be really bad for you. But that's the basics over here, frankly. But when it comes to PCOD and PCOS diet and also understanding what's good for you, what's not good for you, there are so many other things that actually are at play. And we're going to be talking about that with our panel. Joining us today is Manjari Chandra. She's consultant, functional nutritionist and nutritional medicine. Thanks so much for your time, Manjari. Welcome back on FYI. Good to have you after a gap, I guess. Also with us today is Kruti Desai. Kruti runs a page on Instagram that I found very interesting. So great to be hearing some good tips from her, and she makes this food for PCOD and PCOS very, very India centric and very, very India friendly, which is great to have. Now, we're having this discussion in the festive season, so God help us. But let's see where this goes. Let me start by giving the first word to Manjari. We keep talking about what to eat, but also what's important is how often to eat, which I think gets ignored all the time when it comes to women, especially working women who are busy, who we keep going back to that analogy of, taking care of home, taking care of work, managing everything else in the middle as well. So all these women at work who have to play Durga all the time, how often should they be eating? And what should be your portion size? Can we just start by talking about that first?
Yes, thank you, Sonal. As you correctly said, that this is insulin resistance. Essentially, just one simple thing to understand is that when we eat a food which has something called carbohydrate, it gets broken down into sugar or glucose in the body. Every time you have glucose in the blood, the body makes insulin, which is a response to the presence of glucose in the blood. The function of insulin is to convert the sugar into some other, or convert it into energy by putting it into the cell. But another unknown function that not many people talk about of insulin is that it is also a fat storing hormone. So every time you eat a carbohydrate, not only are you going to send the sugar into the cell to make energy, you also give an order to store fat. And most of this fat is visceral fat, which is the one that is in your abdomen, inside your abdominal cavity and around your abdomen. And that abdominal fat makes the pancreas become more and more, underperforming, or sort of, having more and more insulin resistance, because then the pancreas are not doing their job because there's a lot of fat around the abdominal organs, making them perform suboptimally. So one of the important things to remember is that every time you eat simple sugar or simple carbs, you're only pushing yourself more into insulin resistance, which is the underlying cause for PCOD. Now, having said that, as women, what happens is many times we, miss out on eating our foods at the right time, as you said. Many times we eat, not by design, but more by default, because it is just maybe the meal time to eat, or you're the last person to eat, or food is the last thing on your mind because there's so much more to look after. So therefore, one of the things that we should do is look at our plate and see what is the proportion of carbohydrate. Am I eating more than half of my plate as wheat and rice and sugar or sugary fruits, or too much of dairy? If yes, then look at your plate again and try to incorporate, as you already explained, things which do not have sugar or will not get converted into sugar in the body, which includes your vegetables, healthy fats, healthy proteins,
so you're saying carbs
nuts and
should
seeds.
be less than half?
Yes.
In terms of percentage, some people say it should be 20%, which I feel in an Indian diet gets really difficult to incorporate. But in terms of percentage, if you're looking at your plate right now, of course you should have as many colors on your plate as possible. But carb percentage, what would you prescribe?
See, ideally, we don't need any carbs. The body can make enough of its own sugar. There are multiple metabolic pathways by which it can draw energy. So we don't really need to eat for energy. So your carbohydrates are not essential nutrients. But because our staple diet is based on grains and millets and legumes and lentils, you can eat that, but eat them in a very small portion. So as you correctly said, maybe 1/4 of your plate can be a carbohydrate, and that too mostly in a complex form. As you said, the whites should go. You should eat more of the brown ones, the more of the unpolished ones, the more of the natural ones, So, yeah.
Okay, good to know that. Let me take that to Kruti, what I was actually getting at. So 1/4 of your plate should be carbs and not more than that. Rest of it should be filled with protein, should have lots of fiber. all of us know about it, but so difficult to sort of, put that on your
Yes.
plate in terms of Indian meals. Can you share some
Exactly.
tips on what one can do?
See, exactly. In Indian food, basically we had a combination which goes with roti and rice. So, and that is our staple diet. So we can make that in a complex manner. So if we are eating roti or if we are eating rice, the proportion of roti and rice has to be balanced. So if we are eating with good quantity of dal and good quantity of sabji, then the glycemic index of it is going to be low. Instead of wheat, we can also include bajra and jawar in our diet. So I believe that we should avoid all the food which are made from simple carbohydrate. So basically the food which are from foreign influence. So bread, pasta, burger and pizza, all that we need to avoid. Instead, we should go with more of the staple diet, which are more from the millets. So bajra, jawar, ragi, amaranth, these are going to give more benefits compared to the white bread.
Yeah,
and
but
all.
Kruti, when you say avoid it completely, I mean, to be very practical, you can't expect people to just abandon having pizzas. Everybody likes to have a
Yes.
slice once in a while. If you step out, you can't, if you go out to a restaurant, for example, you're not expected to be served bajra rotis over there, right? So what does one do, especially
Yes,
in
yes.
these times when you're going out with people after the horrid 2 years that we've had? Everybody wants to make merry a little. What are the choices available, especially when you're stepping out?
See, when we are going out, majority of the time we order more of the fast food and junk food. So the problem is with that. So if we opt for other options, nowadays in many restaurants, more of the foods which are available are having some healthy stuffs. So the replacement of maida is into the wheat-based pizza. Even the jawar-based pizza is also available nowadays. Even ragi-based is also available. So slowly, gradually, people are getting involved in that kind of stuff, but it will take some time to get managed to that. So
Right.
what I'm telling is, it is not important. It is not necessary to avoid all these things. But if you are taking in less quantity and very less frequent, then it is not going to harm. So if we are indulging them into like once in a week, then it is fine.
Okay. Manjari, can I come back to you on this? When you say avoid carbs, and you did make that point altogether that we don't need definitely to get a lot of energy derived from our carbs, are you then indicating towards a keto diet?
Sonal, thank you for asking that question. We've stopped using the word ketogenic in our practice because thanks to the social media, a beautiful concept has been relegated to a fad, literally. It's become something very, very trendy and almost like a fad on social media and the internet. So we don't use that. But the concept of ketogenic diet is actually the concept of how human beings survived for thousands of years until we started cultivation and started growing our grains and the types of processed food that we know today. So it's not that we did not break down fat for energy 100 years back. That is actually the process that human beings survived on for the longest time of human civilization. But then come the last 100 years, we had food cultivation, which became the mainstay of what we were growing. And what we now eat is actually not led by what we require, but more led by what is growing, what is industrially agriculture. You'll be surprised to know that, and I'm sure you might know, I was reading a New York Times report which said that 40 to 50% of American soil is being used to grow only wheat, corn, soy, and sugarcane. That's all that is growing in the name of agriculture. And we're overdoing these foods because that is what is freely available. It's cheap. If it's a person who has very little to eat, a woman who's working very little time and less money to spare, she'll buy something which is maida, because that's the cheapest food available.
But Manjari,
Whereas
that's all of us
vegetables-
these days. All of us, and a lot of us can't afford to go back and have a farm life and grow exactly. So I think I just want to focus a little bit about women, because that's the issue that we're dealing with right now, and the right kind of food choices that we need to be making. And let's take a break at this point. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to do your grocery shopping. Next time when you go out, you have PCOD, PCOS, and you are trying to stock up your kitchen, you obviously want everything there. How to pick on things, because India has such bad labeling standards. we don't put out nutrients. We perhaps at max put out only sugar levels or fat levels. So how does one start looking at grocery altogether? That's coming up on the other side. Stay tuned, you're watching FII. Welcome back. How to eat right if you have PCOD and PCOS. That's what we're discussing. Let me quickly go to Manjari on that. Manjari, so if I'm going out grocery shopping, and what is it that I should look out for, some labels, etc., and how exactly should I be filling up my pantry?
Yeah, that's a good one. First, I think look out for added sugar, which is now hidden, as you correctly said, under the OSEs, the maltose, dextrose, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, and many more. So many times things that sound as sugar-free have a lot of added sugar in various other forms, which are not recognized as glucose. So that's one. Second is, I think, look out for what the composition of the food is. If it's purely just palm sugar, or it's purely some form of refined oil and refined carbohydrates like maida, avoid it completely. But if you think that the food has more components to it, there's high amount of protein, there is some amount of, some amount of alternate grains, like Kruti also mentioned, like for example, you can get pastas with various forms of flours, jack flour, buckwheat, ragi now. So look at some other alternatives like millets and lentils if possible, other alternative grains. The third thing is, I think one of the things that we do when we shop is we mostly do impulsive shopping, We pick up snacks from the snack corners, we pick up a lot of things that we don't really need to eat. So another thing about grocery we say is you should never go grocery hunting when you're hungry. You go with a full stomach. So you only pick up what you require, and you don't stock up on unnecessary snacks, and only pick up what is really required in your kitchen. And everything that you think is going to be bad for your health, do not pick it up at the first go, because you'll end up eating it eventually.
Right. So, but Manjari, it's festive season. People are hosting Diwali parties. Lots of snacks are to be served as well. Do you have some healthy substitutes for people?
Plenty. A lot of homemade things. For example, let's start with nuts and seeds. They can be made into various things. Nut laddus made at home. Why buy only the mithai from the store when it's not the best quality? Maybe roast some nuts and seeds and add some anjeer and some jaggery and make some really nice laddus. You can give it to your friends also. You could also make a lot of snacks with all, as I said, you'll be surprised to know that millets turn out to be the most nutritious and healthy snacks. So you can make fritters, you can make, things like a little bit of a snack like a namkeen. You can roast the seeds, add some curry leaves and use it like a namkeen. You could make a lot of drinks at home from flax seeds and chia seeds. You could make things from alternate forms of milk. Use coconut milk in your gravies. Use coconut milk to make a drink for your friends. And not just make a fruit concoction, make some fresh lime, add some really good quality salt, use that with a lemonade and add some mint to sort of welcome people.
Right. Let me take that to Kruti as well. Kruti, some good substitutes which are easy to make. The thing about making a anjeer filled laddu at home is giving me I'm just going I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
It's pretty
So we can
easy.
go with coconut laddu. Even besan laddu is a good option. In Gujarat, we have a famous sweet called sukhdi that is very instantly made. That is made from the wheat flour. Even we can make it from bajra and jawar also. So something which is homemade is appropriate for the festive season. Anything which you are bringing from outside, which is packet food, it is going to contain lots of preservatives and additives. So sugar is a culprit, salt is a culprit, but the main culprit is preservatives and additives. So we need to focus to make more of the things which are home prepared and which are into our religions and rituals.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Manjari and Kruti, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a good discussion trying to figure out how to really process and how to shop right, how to eat right, how often to eat, and also how to sort of have complex things in your food, which is going to be very, very important. So good luck trying that. Give us your feedback on how that turned out to be. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.